Thanks to the explosive force of cannon fire, the French were close to victory in this century-long war. But in a final grasp at power, the English dispatched a fresh army, equipped with their tried and tested longbows. Formigny would be a trial of old versus new, to determine the fate of France. English commander Sir Thomas Kyriel sent a large expedition to crush the French in Normandy. The village of Carentan was directly in their path. Massively outnumbered, the French skirmishers near Carentan would give their lives to weaken the English. Though they fought bravely, the French skirmishers could only slow the English advance. The main body of the French army finally arrived in the river valley. The French now needed to locate and destroy the English army. But they would face a well-entrenched enemy, with several local garrisons.
Soudain, ici de nouvelles commandements. Ça, guerre d'escale tous les choses. Joy et j'entendrai.
Nous allons arriver devant, rider derrière. En avant, reste tous en messe libre. Je suis ici!
The French destroyed the garrison at Briquebec. French forces found a detachment of the English army attacking the town of Valognes. If they could stop the attack, they might gain valuable resources. With the English attack on Valognes halted, the citizens moved to support the French army.
Prêt pour les commandements. Oui. Voyez bien, faites ici les commandements. Votre reste est bien clair.
Joy, quel est votre plaisir?
Voyez bien les commandements, soudain.
Arbalétrier, avant.
Ayez cœur à envoyer l'ancien. Gardez le pas. Très bien. À votre ordonnance. Allez, lancier. La bataille nous attend. Bien, lancier. Allons. Prenez vos lances et envoyez.
Les soudards sont prêts ce courage. Marchons de Ruchienne. Gendarmes. Avez-vous, commandement, pour une joyeuse poussée?
Où voulez que j'aille? Je vais par-delà. Les arbalèstes sont assez... Arbalétrier, ne restez pas, assistant.
Nous allons avoir les commandements. Houstiliers, en ordonnance. Voyez bien. Faites ici les commandements. Fiez vos avoués. À l'arçon, prêche pour les commandements. Je fais votre commandement.
Soudain, lance sur feutre.
Gloire et victoire seront à nous, Souda.
Arbalétrier, soyez assaisonnés.
Voyez bien les... Ainsi soit fait. Prêt pour les... Nous délaissons ces lieux. Voyez bien, ainsi soit fait. Allons plus que le pas. En avant, reste tous en mesnie. Je vais devant, rider derrière. Allons plus que le pas. Délaissons ces spuilieux. Vos avoués. Je fais votre commandement. Délaissons ces spuilieux. En avant, reste tous en mesnie. Allons plus que le pas. Je vais devant, rider derrière. Votre dit est bien clair. Si sera fait selon votre commandement.
Lancier, j'ai besoin d'un barman. Très bien, j'ai besoin...
Nous allons, je vais devant, rider derrière. En avant, reste tous en mesnie.
L'heure est venue de gagner votre pitance.
Prêt pour les commandements. Causez-vous. Si sera fait selon votre commandement. Ainsi soit fait. Allons plus que le pas. Voyez bien, réussis les commandements. Nous délaissons ces spuilieux. Tiens vos avoués. Votre dite est bien clair. Allons plus que le pas. Nous délaissons ces spuilieux. En avant, reste tous en mesnie. Je vais devant, rider derrière. Nous allons avouer, je fais votre commandement. En avant, reste tous en mesnie. Je vais devant, rider derrière. Ainsi soit fait. Allons plus que le pas. Délaissons ces spuilieux. Si sera fait selon votre commandement. Ennemis, nos assaut de longue traite. Salut, ça va faire, vous avez victoire.
The English base at Saint-Sauveur fell to the French forces, but the enemy army was still at large.
Fiez-vous à moi. L'ennemi nous regarde. Contestez-les. Contestez-les, le commandement. Contestez, nous délaissons ces spuilieux. Regarde, votre reste est bien clair. Ainsi soit fait. Selon votre commandement. Délaissons ces spuilieux. Je fais votre commandement. Allons, que le pas. En avant, 13 pouces en mèche-mie. Votre reste est bien clair. Je vais devant, rider derrière. Nous délaissons ces spuilieux.
The French forces located Kyriel's English army at a river crossing near the town of Formigny. Several of the Bureau brothers' heavy guns and other forces arrived to help.
Ainsi soit fait. Les engins de siège sont prêts. Engins de siège. Ça, dites-nous quelqu'un t'en abattre. Un engin de siège, assis.
Voyez bien les commandes.
Envoyez, soudain. Suivez l'artillerie. Suivez l'engin. Avant, allons. Tout est ordonné, quasi assouvi. Ainsi soit-il. Ainsi sera.
Even with their cannons, the French faced the difficult task of engaging the well-positioned English army.
Ça, engin, en l'avouer. Nous accomplissons vos ordonnances.
Prêt pour les commandements. Au destrier, fiez-vous à moi.
Courage, lancier. Assistez vos pour l'État. Allez, lancier, la bataille.
Soudain, c'est comme vous voulez.
Nos caresses en bas l'étrier avant. Épais.
Les engins de siège sont prêts. Les engins se meuvent. Ils vont pâtir de notre ivre. Quelle triompheuse victoire! Ils sont anéantis!
The French attacks succeeded in drawing the English front line out of position and across the river. Suffering losses, the English front line retreated back across the river.
Les engins de siège sont prêts! C'est quasi assouvi! Will, à part main! Will, à part main! Engin de... Ainsi soit-il. Point de faille, votre trait. Sifflez. Engin de siège, ça faut aller. Nous accomplissons vos ordonnances. Les engins se meurent. Engin
Prêt pour les commandes.
sur l'engin!
The French received word that their Breton allies had arrived with their knights and horsemen. Now the two armies could coordinate. The Bretons saw an opportunity to attack the English from the back. As the Bretons attacked, the English had no choice but to pivot their front line, opening their flanks to attack from the French.
Tout est en suite! Engin, ainsi sera fait!
Beset by the French and Bretons, the English beat a hasty retreat toward Formigny. The English survivors entered Formigny. The French would have to take this town to secure victory.
Nous avons sécuré l'engin de siège. Envoyé. Suivez l'engin. Nous allons...
Envoyez vers la victoire. Sans l'arrière-garde.
Tout est en ça, engin. En l'avouer. Engin, c'est l'heure de trêve. Victoire! La carcasse est dégastée! Youhou!
Juste notre cause,
Prêt comme suivez l'engin, soldat.
C'est à honneur.
Nos ordonnances sont la sus. Ainsi sera fait. Suivez l'engin. Avant, allons. Là, point de merci.
Alors, c'est quoi le commandement? On s'en fout. Le champ
the last English army destroyed and the gates of Formigny thrown open, the French force in Normandy was victorious. Their well-organized forces and superior firepower had brought the arduous 100 Years' War closer to its conclusion. At Formigny, the roar of cannon fire sounded the death knell for England's ambitions in France. King Charles and the Bureau brothers did not let up on the offensive, and in 1453, the English retreated across the Channel. France was finally at peace. More than 100 years had passed since the first English chevauchés had scorched the land. The iconic French knights who fought in those early days would not have recognized their own military a century later. The English longbow, once the scourge of France, was no match for French artillery in the last years of the war. And by 1453, France's border looked very different, growing to encompass territories once claimed by England and their allies. After enduring a century of conflict, France emerged as a transformed nation. The country and its people had persevered and unified into a kingdom that could defend itself. Against all odds, France had won the 100 Years' War. Before the invention of printing in the 15th century, books were painstakingly copied by hand. The finest were illuminated with brilliant colors and real gold. Illuminated text wasn't just for show. Gilded illustrations decorated important passages to highlight their significance.
Gold was used in many medieval manuscripts from early days because it was very expensive and it indicated that the manuscript itself was valuable. The light would reflect from candles or from the sunlight, and so it looked as though the book itself was illuminated. In medieval manuscripts, it looks as though this is solid gold. In fact, it's not. The gold itself is tissue thin.
The solid appearance is achieved by laying the gold on a cushion of plaster mixed with glue, called gesso.
By raising the gold from the surface of the skin, that means that it catches the light even more.
The glue in the gesso is softened by breathing on it.
We then have 3 seconds to get the gold on, and I'm using a burnisher, which is a polished stone, just to make sure that the gold sticks. Then the burnisher is used to polish the gold up. See, it's coming up now. See, it's coming nice and shiny.
Next, the miniature is painted.
The base colour will be done first, then the tints and the shades will be added, and finally, the white highlights and the outline, which lifts it and brings the whole thing to life.
The medieval paint box contained pigments from across the world, such as ultramarine from Afghanistan and orpiment gathered from volcanic craters.
It often took a long time to complete these medieval miniatures. This one between a month and 6 weeks, from start to finish.
An entire book could take a team of illuminators several years to complete. Many medieval manuscripts still survive today, fully preserved, with their colors just as vivid as the day they were illustrated. From the vast reaches of the Mongolian steppe, an army of over 100,000 men swept aside all resistance, claiming territories that spanned continents. Their leader, Genghis Khan, proclaimed his life's ambition was to unite the world under one empire. Having conquered the East, the Mongols turned their attention to the West, where they would come face to face with some of the greatest armies of medieval Europe. Would Genghis Khan's legendary warriors finally meet their match? By 1221, the Mongols had taken cities throughout Asia, generating vast amounts of tribute from those they conquered. The West, however, was still an untapped resource. Genghis Khan sent his trusted generals, Jebei and Subutai, to attack Europe. With an army of 20,000, Jebei and Subutai took the West by surprise, raiding cities and destroying armies. Within 2 years, they had the prosperous Rus territories in their sights. But in their way was a Rus army of over 40,000 men. Outnumbered, Jebei and Subutai turned and started to head back east. The Rus sensed an easy victory. and set off in pursuit of their retreating enemies. For 8 days, the fast-moving Mongols stayed just out of reach. Then, Jebei and Subutai set their trap. They lured the Rus across the Kalka River and turned to fight. The Rus had fallen for one of the Mongols' most effective tactics, the feigned retreat. The stage was set for the Mongol army to test themselves against Europe's finest. The Mongols charged across the European plains, with the fatigued Rus army in close pursuit. The Rus had fallen for the Mongol tactic of the feigned retreat, and unknowingly followed them into peril. The Mongol general sprung his trap on the enemy scouts. With the Rus scouts cut down, General Subutai crossed the Kalka River. Here, he would stage a full-scale ambush on the vast Rus army. Subutai directed his warriors to split up and lie in wait for the enemy. For Subutai's strategy to be effective, he needed to spring his trap before the Rus recovered from their long pursuit.
속도가 낮아졌어.
He sent his most fearsome Mangadai horse archers to draw the Rus quickly towards the ambush site. These highly skilled warriors could fire their bows rapidly while riding at speed. The Mongol provocation was effective, and the Rus hastily pursued. The Rus army had fallen for the feigned retreat and rode straight into the Mongol ambush. With the enemy surrounded, Subutai's battle-ready warriors descended from all sides.
March! Hold it! 양도석 hold it 뭐야? 안도석 hold it.
전대기 모두가 도와. 네? 자, 백수.
자기가 알아봤어.
내려와.
The Mongol ambush was devastating, and Rus' numbers were reduced to a few desperate stragglers. Seeing the fate of their comrades, the last Rus encircled themselves in a makeshift fort of baggage carts.
선을 오달 torkbåt 어두통 Кинем! Kendiler olsun. Kendine sormalısın. Kendine sormalısın.
The Rus stockade fell. Despite a valiant last stand, the remnants of the Rus army were cut down. Spurred on by the crushing victory at the Kalka River, the Mongols advanced ever further into the heartland of the Rus. In the noise and confusion of battle, communications were vital. One solution was the use of message arrows.
Signal arrows could be used to send messages to your drone troops. Faster than a man, faster than a horse.
It was the quickest way to communicate in the heat of battle. Whistling arrows were blunt, and most importantly, they announced their arrival. But they weren't just used to pass written messages. When shot in a volley, whistling arrows could be loud enough to signal to a small group of warriors, telling them both where and when to attack. On hearing the sound, they would gallop in and strike where the arrows landed. However, a much louder sound was required to sound the retreat or to communicate to the whole army. That was the job of the war drums.
The Mongols also used gongs, and the combinations of drums and gongs gave the Mongols a wide array of signaling options.
We do not know the exact rhythms they used, but basic commands could be conveyed with different percussive patterns. They enabled the Mongols to communicate with their own forces and strike fear into the enemy. They were the heartbeat of the Mongol army.